75 to 32. 75 to 32.
Is that a college basketball score? What is that?
Yeah, it's when you have a homecoming game against a Division II team. That's what generally is the final score in college hoops. But no, that was the Eagles combined scores of the last 2 weeks against the 49ers and the Cowboys. Hideous, unacceptable, awful. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Monday, kind of. Everybody, Rob Ellis, Tone Shields, hanging out with you. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. What's up, everybody? I see you. I see everybody hanging. Good to see you, as always, Tone. Yeah, this was second straight week where the Eagles did not show up against teams that are their chief rivals in the NFC, and there is no sugarcoating it. There's no excusing it. There is no anything. They need to own it. The question isn't just the acceptance and the acknowledgement. It's, can it be fixed? That's the big question. And, you look at it right now, and you should be real concerned if you're an Eagles fan, despite the great record.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, man. This team is falling apart at the seams. No excuses, no explanation. The fact of the matter is they are not who we thought they were. You know what I mean? They are not the football team that we thought they were. This team lacks fire. They lack intensity. They lack something. And clearly it's personnel on the defensive side. And on the offensive side, they lack an offensive identity. They don't know what they want to do. They don't know how they're going to accomplish it. And so far, I see a listless offense. I see guys that don't seem to have a belief in what they're being asked to do. So that begs the question: who's at fault for this premature collapse?
Yeah,
right?
and I think it's a great question to ask. I mean, is it coaching? Is it players? Is it Howie? Because when you look the way that they look, and again, understand that they're 10-3, but we also understand that they got away with some things on the road to getting to 10-1 that we all said they can't continue to do against these really good teams, and they've tried to continue to do it, and these teams have beaten the snot out of them, to be kind about it.
Yep.
So look, to me, ultimately, it starts with Nick Sirianni. This team hasn't been ready. So when you get outscored to start games now, 24-6, 14-6, 17-7, 17-7, that's the last 4 games, but you have trailed at the half the last 6 games. You're clearly not prepared properly. That's it. I mean, it's all around. If I'm being honest, it's everything. They're not talented enough. That's on Howie. The players are fumbling. That's on them. But they're not ready to start games, period.
Yeah, that's what makes this so frustrating, right? There was a point in the season where we felt like we can kind of pinpoint the issues. Now, this ship is taking on so much water, we have no idea which hole to plug first. We have no idea who to point the finger at. So the fact of the matter is we have 10 fingers for a reason. So I'm going to point them all at various individuals. Howie Roseman, he shortchanged the defense. He got cocky. And now the defense looks the way it looks. On the offensive side, Jalen Hurts is not playing up to snuff these past couple games. Nick Sirianni, lackluster game planning. Brian Johnson, lackluster play calling. Sean Desai, lackluster preparation on his defensive side. These guys lack. Did you see the way those corners were playing yesterday? Just their body language and how they were defending. They had zero body control yesterday. Every crucial third down that could have got them off the field, it's either a pass interference or a holding or a legal handset or whatever it was.
Yeah,
it was just so many issues to point out yesterday, or last night rather. It was, like I said, I got to a point where I just stopped paying attention to the game. I stopped paying attention. I start folding laundry. I start preparing for Monday. You know what I mean? I'm doing whatever I can do to distract myself from this ass whooping once again. So 2 weeks in a row, you got your ass beat by the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys. 2 teams that we're only measuring you against. We're not measuring you against the Detroit Lions. I don't care what they do. We're not measuring you against the Lions. We're not measuring you against the Packers or the Falcons or or the Buccaneers or any team that's trying to get into the playoffs right now. We're not measuring you against the Seattle Seahawks.
Mhm.
We're measuring you against the top 2 contenders outside of yourself in the NFC, the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. And you failed both tests miserably, unequivocally, unquestionably. You failed both tests in the highest degree. What was that scorecard again, Rob, over the past 2 games? What was it again?
They've been outscored 75-32.
75-32.
More than doubled.
2 games in a row, you failed to score a touchdown in the first half.
Right.
Last night, you failed to score a touchdown at all. The only touchdown you got was from Fletcher Cox making a play and Jalen Carter finishing the job. That is unacceptable. You begin to move the ball, and all of a sudden, the moment you get in plus territory, the moment you get in the red zone, Jalen Hurts fumbles, A.J. Brown fumbles, Devontae Smith fumbles. Every time they had a sign of life, somebody found a way to drink the poison.
Mhm.
Every time they had a sign of life, somebody found a way to shoot themselves in the heart. I don't understand it. This team is too talented on the offensive side for them to be this discombobulated. It doesn't make sense to me, Rob.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. There's a disconnect.
I can say personnel. I can say that. They're all, you know what that defense is, Rob? And I know I'm going off on a tangent. Do you know what that defense is? Especially, and this more so goes towards the back 7, not the front 4. Because the front 4 has been carrying this team for the past 2 years. That back 7 is all names and no production.
Yeah.
All names and no success. That's all they are. Darius Slay, James. If you told me you had a back 4 with Darius Slay, James Bradbury, Kevin Byard, and I'm
Bradley Roby.
If you told me those were your DBs, on paper you say, well, you're in pretty good shape. Well, guess what? That's not the case.
Yeah, if the paper was in 2016, you'd feel great about it. The problem is the paper's in 2023, and they're all on the back end in a big way. Look, I wish it was as simple as it's one thing. I wish we could just say, hey, the defense, man, has been terrible. They got to pick it up, but the offense has been great. And man, they're scheming this thing up and blah, blah, blah. And Hurts is an MVP candidate again and all that. I wish it was that. Hurts is turning the ball over at an alarming rate.
15 turnovers.
Okay. Alarming
15.
rate. He had, what did he have? 8 all of last year. Okay. The offense lacks creativity, lacks any kind of rhythm. I haven't all season felt like they played at their max, at their peak. I haven't come away from a game saying, damn, the offense killed it all year.
He has more turnovers in this season alone than he did in his past 2 seasons combined.
Yeah. So there is a regression there, at least. Then you look at it from a defensive standpoint. They can't get off the field. Let me just give you these numbers. They're 28th in points, 29th in points per drive, 31st in passing touchdowns, 32nd in third down, and 30th in red zone. I said this last week. They're not just bad in certain categories. This is a bad defense across the board. They don't get to the quarter. I know they had 3 sacks last night. They don't get to the quarterback the way that they need to. Somebody, put a missing persons out for Josh Sweat. 1 sack in 6 games. Where's this guy at? Like, where is he?
Listen, man. And excuse me, you guys. I think I have a little cold day, so you guys are going to see me wipe my nose a couple times a day. But I'm battling through it. The fact of the matter is, this team doesn't believe in what they're doing. It's clear. It's one thing to say, oh yeah, fatigue is catching up. The first drive for the defense, because they were on the field first. The first opportunity the defense had to get on the field, they looked like they were running in mud. I'm saying to myself, why do they look so slow? And then it even furthered my assumption when I saw how fast Dallas was getting off the line of scrimmage. That defensive line was flying up the line of scrimmage. Those guys were flying downhill. The Eagles defense seemed like they were playing in sand. So is it fatigue? I'm not buying that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this team believes in their coaching staff. I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that they trust this coaching staff, because from what I'm hearing from guys like Seth Joyner and Derrick Gunn through the zeitgeist, this team, they're slowly imploding. And I don't know if Nick Sirianni has the answers. I don't know if he is the answer. I don't know if Brian Johnson is the answer. I don't know if Sean Desai is the answer. At the very least, I can say, well, Sean Desai doesn't have personnel on the offensive side.
Mm-hmm.
At least I can say that, right?
Well, I think so. A couple things. I think Tina makes an interesting point. The problem with thinking winning is all that matters is you're not addressing the issues, but people love saying that. She's exactly right. Look, I got everybody lost their mind on me the last 2 weeks when I said the Eagles are going to lose these games. Okay. Everybody got butt hurt because they don't want to hear, a real opinion. They want me to get up here and just wave the Eagles flag. I saw this coming. I said they go 2-3 in this stretch. Everybody thought I was out of my mind. I'm not doing this to take a victory lap. I'm not. I wish I was wrong, but I saw this coming. We always measure this team with yes wins, but we're also looking at it like, all right, are they good enough to win a Super Bowl? Are they good enough to get out of the NFC? And they were getting away with stuff that you don't normally get away with. Turnover margin, always a bugaboo. Third down efficiency, always a bugaboo. They got away with all this stuff. Now that you've really stepped up in class with the Cowboys and the 49ers, because we're seeing the Chiefs aren't that good. Keeping it real here. I don't write them off, but they're not that
interesting?
Good.
The two Super Bowl teams, they were just chugging along, trying to hold on for dear life, hanging on by a thread. And at the same part of the season, both Super Bowl teams from last year have experienced 2 back-to-back losses.
Yep.
At the same point in the season. Is that coincidence? Is that happenstance? I don't think so.
Yeah, I agree. And it's to me, it doesn't mean they're done. But here's my opinion on this team. I think there's ways to get creative and make this certainly a better offense. For sure.
How, Rob? How?
Well,
defense, on defense or offense?
No, I'm going offense.
Okay,
the problem is,
tell me how. Because
my biggest issue is the other side of the ball, because your linebackers are below mediocre and your defensive backs are way below mediocre. And if you're not getting more of a pass rush, you're probably not going to win games, because the odds that you're going to put up 40 or 35 every single game in the playoffs are slim to none. So that's what concerns me more than anything else. If you said to me, what's your biggest concern? Offense, defense, blah, blah, blah. It's defense. And it's not even close. I think the offense is capable of way more than this. I don't know why it's bogged down the way it is. I don't know that Brian Johnson isn't just lost in the sauce, or that Nick isn't just lost in the sauce right now, or whatever. But the offense, like there's no doubt in my mind that Jalen and AJ and Devontae can all be way better than they've been. I don't know that the defense is capable of much more. I think this is kind of who the defense is. I think they're just this team.
You're right. You know what's so funny, right? And you said a lot there, and that's what makes it so annoying. Not you, but this the whole everything about it. You don't know where to go first. It's almost like Thanksgiving, right? And you get a plate full of food. You just don't know where to. You don't know how. You keep rotating your plate a little bit. Okay, which angle do I want to approach this from, right? And I'm looking at this team. I don't know which angle I want to rip them from. Yeah. I don't know which part of their asses I want to kick first. Yeah, because it's just, you look at the defensive side, and let's just start with the defensive line, right? It's hard for me to go hard on the defensive line, because they've been carrying this team, doing their best. And we're at a point in the season now where fatigue is setting in, and because the fatigue is setting in, and they know if they don't win, that defense doesn't win. Now they're lacking discipline in their pass rush. Yeah. Now they're losing containment, which is why quarterbacks are able to break out the pocket and make plays against them. They're losing containment. They're over pursuing, and because they know in their minds, we can't depend on the guys behind us, so we have to make the play. So they're being overly aggressive, and they're shooting their load so early. They can't pass rush effectively and efficiently because they know they have no help on the back end. So when you over pursue, it makes it easy for guys like Dak Prescott, to break the pocket and do whatever he wants to do. It makes it easy for a guy like Brock Purdy, who's not really mobile, to get out and make plays. Then you take it a step further, the linebackers. Nick Morrow, dude, come on now. He had little plays here and there, but can't tackle to save his life. Mm-hmm. They kept going back and forth between him and Shaq Leonard. Zach Cunningham still looks like he's struggling with that hamstring. Then Reed Blankenship gets hurt again. Yep. James Bradbury just looks like a shell of himself. James Bradbury and Darius Slay are stealing money.
Yeah.
It's just that simple for me. I don't care what they say. I don't care what podcast he drops. They're stealing money at this point.
Listen,
did you see how the lack of body control James Bradbury had all day? Did you see when, I can't remember what receiver, I don't know if it was Brandon Cooks or whatever, he got beat so bad. Luckily, Sidney Brown, it was CeeDee Lamb. Luckily, Sidney Brown came over the top and found a way to disrupt it, and the receiver ended up dropping the ball. But James Bradbury got worked so bad all day. Howie Roseman has a task on his hands this offseason. You can't change a defense like this overnight and just in one offseason. You got to pray for God's grace to get you through an offseason like this, because he has his hands full.
I think Michael makes a good point. You know, when you have opportunities in sports, you've got to finish the deal. And last year, they were the best team in football all season. Okay? All season, they were the best team in football. And they simply wasted a great opportunity. And the problem is it's really hard to get back. The Phillies, we've seen it the last 2 years. They got the Game 6 of the World Series lost. They should have been in the World Series last year, where I think they would have won it. They didn't. And now the Eagles are paying the price for getting close and not being able to close it out. I don't know that they made the right call on either one of these coordinators. You know, all we were told was Brian Johnson and Hurts are like, you know, peas and carrots, right? I mean, this is going to be perfect. These two have known each other since Hurts was a little kid. You know, I don't know that. I don't see a guy who looks creative to me. The most creativity we've seen from this team in the last 3 weeks is the Braden Mann fake punt. That's the most creative offensive play that we've seen in the last 2 weeks from this team. They don't run a lot of motion. They don't run a lot of disguise stuff. It's just a lot of, hey, let's hope the playmaker makes a play and throw it up there. And it's slow developing. In fact, give me Tony, do you have the Derrick Gunn cut?
Sure do.
So our buddy Derrick, who's still, in the slow process of just battling through, a lot with what's going on with Trish, his wife, and her well-being. He hopped on the JAKIB post-game show last night with Seth and Mike and Bill and the entire crew. And I thought had some very interesting things to say in general. So just take a listen to this clip and we'll react off of this. Here's D Gunn.
I've been going back and forth with a couple of players in the locker room, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? First response I got back was, we are very predictable. I said, predictable? I said, explain. Look at our pass routes compared to the Cowboys' pass routes. Our pass routes take too long to develop. Dallas gets their bleep out real quick. And I think if you sit back and look at the game, look at how quick Dak Prescott gets the ball out of his hands compared to the way Jalen getting the ball out of his hands. I did not believe that Dallas's offensive line, a good offensive line, could manhandle the Eagles' interior. They ran the ball right after tackles. I was extremely shocked by that. But they have played uninterested, uninspired football the last 2 games. Now, granted, you can go back and say, this team played 3 grueling games in a span of 14 days. 3 grueling games. Nobody's going to take that as an excuse. But I just think what I'm being told is, number one, they've become predictable. Number 2, this defense is nowhere near what we thought it was. It's been smoke and mirrors. And we've touched on it time and time again throughout the season. And I think it's finally reared its ugly head against teams that are their equal and better. And number 3, I think this is sending a message to everybody else on their schedule. You know what? We can beat this team.
All right. So you heard that. Predictable, slow developing. You're muted, Tony. Predictable and slow developing. Okay. That is coming directly. Let me tell you something. Let me be really clear. Derrick Gunn's sources are
legit.
Impeccable.
Legit.
Impeccable. Okay. So if that's what the players are saying, then they feel defeated going into these games with the game plan.
They don't believe in it.
Yes. So that's why you're seeing an offense that's so discombobulated, that's so out of rhythm all the time, where I'm sure a game plan's being put in or a call, a play is being called, and you could just, I'm sure they're in the ends of the huddle like,
why we keep running this play?
Yeah.
Like can you imagine, working for a company and they keep giving you a certain memo, or they're giving you certain directives, and this memo, or these directives are not conducive to our overall success.
Yep.
They're a failed and true formula, and yet they still keep giving it to you. And all you can do is go into these meetings with your team and say, look, this is what they're saying up top, and this is what we have to do. And everyone's like, we've been through this time and time again. This does not move the needle for us. And I've been saying it all year, Rob. I've been saying it to everybody on every platform that I could think of. These route concepts that they have these guys running, they take too long to develop. It's just that simple.
Yep.
They take so long to develop, it doesn't allow your quarterback to get into a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, now you're forcing him to run for his life, because the offensive, and if your offensive line can give you if you have an offensive line that can give you 3 seconds in the pocket, you have a top tier offensive line. Top tier. Even if they give you 2.5, 2.8 seconds, you have a top tier offensive line. There's been moments of the season Jalen Hurts has had 3 seconds, 3.5, 4 seconds, and nothing is happening. These route concepts have no creativity. These route concepts take too long to develop. These route concepts are preventing your quarterback from getting into a rhythm. The team doesn't believe in the game plan anymore. Nick Sirianni, I don't trust him. Brian Johnson, I don't trust him. And this is where I am right now. This is where I am. I know I made an early season prediction about who's going to the Super Bowl. I called for a Super Bowl rematch, Eagles and Chiefs. I don't see it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in it anymore. And I hate being the person that moves off of an off-season take, especially like a prediction. But based off what I'm seeing from both teams, but most notably the Eagles, I do not believe in this team. I do not believe in this defense. I do not believe in the game plan. People are going to say, well, they're 10-3. Listen, relax. The 10-1 looks like fool's gold now, because all the things that was going on in the first 11 games is happening now. But they found a way to get away. They found a way to get away with it. We've been fooled. We've been hoodwinked. It's sad.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that's why it's easy to just look at it and say, hey, they're winning. Hey, they're winning is like a deodorant, right? And it's like, oh, hey, they're winning, and everything's fine. No, it's not fine. They were winning, okay? But they were not winning in a way that was going to be conducive to long-term success this season against the big boys. That's what it was. Okay. That's what it was. And FYI. So if people want to be assholes in the chat, you're going to be gone. It's as simple as that, people. You want to be douchebags and scumbags. You want to have fun and bust balls because your team won. Oh, good. But if you're going to be a scumbag, you will not be on a show that I'll be a part of. Just an FYI. Trust me when I tell you that. And you keep coming back with your fake names, and I'll sniff right through it, and I'll continue to block your ass. So that's as simple as that. Anyway,
simple as that.
Back to what we were talking about.
You play stupid games, you win stupid prizes.
Yeah. So look, and the other part of this thing, Tone, is they've allowed, not only is it the bad starts, how about the finishes? Okay. So they have allowed 64 points in the final 2 minutes before the half this year. That's the most in football. So they're not starting the first half good, and they're not finishing it. There's no level of consistency with this team at all. It's crazy.
I'm with you 100%, man. You know, it's so funny. Seth Joyner said something really interesting, and you know, I would love to play it for you if
please.
Like.
I look, man. The more I can hear from our folks, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Because it just screams everything that we've been talking about. Listen to this here.
Okay.
I feel like, you know, we've kind of been lulled to sleep with how they played. And I'm really mad at myself because I knew better all along, but I didn't want to take, you know, the public smoke of a team that was undefeated and then 8-1 and 9-1 and 10-1. I didn't want to take the public smoke because that's all everybody wanted to say. Well, what are you complaining about? Then they're 8-0, they're 9-1, they're 10-1, and now they're 10-2, they're 10-3. Well, the truth of the matter is, they've shown us all season long. One of my mottos is it is as important how you win as if you win, because it's a telltale sign of what's to come. Your future performances always give us a preview of what your past performances, I should say, always gives us a future preview of what your game is going to look like. And they haven't, even though they've won and they've stacked some wins, they haven't been in dominating fashion. They've eked out some wins. Even in some games where they should have won, other teams made mistakes, that had a game fall into their lap. But as we get to the most critical time of the season, all of those flaws and all of those things that we saw that were wrong with this team early on, that we ignored, that we were pressured to ignore just because they were winning, they're coming to fruition right now in a massive way. And for us to think that, those are going to get fixed or they could be rectified, I just feel like we're 100% wrong. And I think we're fooling ourselves, to believe that this team is going to run the table of the last 4 games of the season and go into the playoffs at this point in time, and do anything special. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, well said. Well said by Seth there. I think he did. It's not. And it was an interesting admission. He didn't. In his opinion, this is his words, not my words. But we'll get to the offensive coordinator in a second, JH. But yeah, I hear you. Look, the notion that that it's hard to take the stance of hey, they're 10-1. And I'm seeing things that I don't like. It's like, because everybody's just going to clap back with, hey,
because you know what it is? They call you a hater.
Right.
They call you a hater. And look, I was one of those people. I'll fall on a sword with Seth. I was one of those guys that, I kept saying to myself, well, look, even though it hasn't been pretty, this kind of stuff helps you in the playoffs because if everything's not going to be perfect in the playoffs.
Right.
So when you go through these situations, it hardens you, right? But I took it for granted, and I overestimated this team's diligence. I overestimated their ability to get over their struggles, because it's okay to have some games scattered in there, right? When you experience this, but when you really look at the season from beginning to end, this team is exactly who they showed us to be. My mom always told me this: when someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Don't try to change them. Don't try to dress it up, put some makeup on it, and do it. When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah, 100%. And they were, I'm telling you, what they were doing, you could say in a word is resilient, definitely. But another word for it is they were getting fortunate. Some of it was level of competition. Some of it was just the breaks. I mean, Valdez Scantling dropping a ball or other things happening that allowed you to overcome, right? And for me, the more that we've seen as time has gone on, there were holes that were there that maybe other teams weren't exposing, and teams that are as good as the 49ers and the Cowboys, and they're both really good, exposed them in a big way. And the Eagles got smoked. And that's the other part. The other thing with this, Tone, is if you had lost either one of these games in a tight fashion where you can't, look, if you go down to Dallas where they've won 14 straight going into last night and you lost a really close game.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, you're bummed, but it looks totally different today than it did. You went down there and all the same stuff happened. You turned it over. You're getting killed at the half. And, and even last night, insult to injury, you couldn't score a touchdown offensively. If they're not reason for concern, then you don't want to see it. I mean, I know it's easy to just say, hey, we all thought this would be a tough stretch. So big deal. If they win in Seattle, they're 3-2.
This is beyond that.
It's deeper than that. It's there's nuance to this, man.
They don't look like they belong in the same room.
Yeah.
As the Niners and the Cowboys. Let's call it what it is.
Yep.
I've watched these games from beginning to end. The Niners and the Cowboys are playing at 2 different speeds than the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I know Eagles fans don't want to hear that. And I know I say all the time, we have a responsibility to be optimistic in some fashion, but guess what? Today's Monday, and I don't feel like being optimistic today. Okay, maybe maybe I'll be optimistic about Thursday or Friday, but today I'm here to peel ass. I'm here to whoop ass. This team does not belong in the Super Bowl. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what your heart's telling you.
Yeah,
be honest with yourself. We've seen the games. We've seen how they played all year. This team has not been playing up to snuff. This team has been treading water all season. This team has been hanging on by a thread, and I've been drinking the Kool-Aid, and I've been fighting, and I've been screaming the fight song, and I've been screaming guts, glory, and all that stuff. I've been doing all that. Look at A-Track. We'll be fine. This is the mentality that got us here in the first place.
Yeah, this is an issue.
We'll be fine. And A-Track, thank you for supporting the show, by the way.
Yeah, no, appreciate it. But so let's dissect this comment a couple of different ways. I don't think anybody's calling for you to stop being an Eagles fan or jump off the bandwagon or say there's no chance for them to win a Super Bowl. At least that's not what we're doing. I can't speak for anybody else, but I don't think that's what either Tone or I are doing. But you're allowed to be pissed off after your team lays 2 duds and looks like it isn't good enough to get out of the NFC. You're absolutely allowed to be. You don't have to be fine and calm down, especially on Monday. You have every right to be up in arms and ticked off and calling it out. I can't be hey, they'll be fine. I'm an Eagles fan. I can't do it. I won't do it. Again, I appreciate A-Track.
Thank you, A-Track. This energy isn't really towards you. It's just the notion that they'll be fine. And we've been saying that all year. They'll be fine. We're going into week 15 now. Well, Monday night. Well, Monday starts going, so we're still in week 14, but we're going into week 15 now. And we can't keep saying they'll be fine. They had an opportunity to make a statement against their 2 NFC rivals in the Cowboys and the Niners. The only 2 teams they're going to have to worry about in this conference. Yeah, they beat the Chiefs. Yeah, they beat the Bills. Yeah, they beat the Dolphins, but they ain't got to worry about them in the playoffs until it's time to worry about them.
Yeah,
those wins are cool. But when it comes to the teams that you're going to have to go through to get to where you want to go, and you've shown that not only can't you beat them, you can't even hang with them. Not only can you hang with them, you don't even belong near them. Y'all not breathing the same air. Y'all not drinking the same water. Y'all not even in the same ecosystem. They playing in the deep end of the pool. You still got your water wings on. Let's not pretend the Philadelphia Eagles are playing at that level, because we have not seen the Philadelphia Eagles play at that level all season long.
Those 2 teams took 100 you apart. Your 2 chief rivals took you apart. Yeah.
You didn't just lose by 3 or 10 or 7, or you had a game, you were driving down the field and all of a sudden turnover on a potential game-winning drive, okay, you missed the field. This isn't that. They failed to put up 20 points in back-to-back weeks. Last night they didn't produce an offensive touchdown. Let that sink in. We had to go to sleep on this, you guys. I've had an opportunity to sleep on it. They couldn't score a touchdown on offense. They would have lost 33-6 if Fletcher Cox and Jalen Carter don't make that play.
Yeah.
Think about that. But you know what, Rob? You know what they say, right? We'll be okay. We'll be okay. Don't you get it, Rob? We're going to be okay.
Yeah, it's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. No, it is not. All right. So when we come back, let's look at the offensive side. We're going to start with Jalen Hurts. And we're also going to look at A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, who had 2 monster turnovers themselves, a non-impactful running game, an offensive line that certainly isn't playing at their best, these disgraceful slow starts. A lot to get into when we come back. We will dive into the defensive side. We're going to look at the conference standings. We got a lot to dissect here, friends, and we are going to do it. All right. That's Tone DeShields. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, I want to tell you about Bravo Pizza, because nothing would hit the spot better than some Bravo Pizza right now to drown out your sorrows. Yes. Family owned since 1985. I've been going there since I was a kid. Fresh food daily. Alex and his crew are in there every single day, producing the best variety that you could possibly have. 20 different styles of pizza daily, slices to go. They have the you name it, they'll make it. Specialized pizza your way if you're not up for pizza. Fresh pasta, sandwiches, wraps, wings, salads, Bravo Pizza is also committed to the community. They have fundraisers for charities, for schools, for little leagues, where the proceeds go to those organizations. You can follow them at the Bravo Pizza of on Instagram and Facebook. They also get daily specials and promotions there also. They're at 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center, Havertown, Pennsylvania. 1305 Westchester Pike, Manoa Shopping Center, Havertown, PA. Give a call, 610-446-3810, 610-446-3810. Bravo Pizza of Havertown.
I remember getting my heart broken when they lost the Super Bowl in 2004. We're big Eagles fans. We moved to South Philly because of the Eagles. When they won, we went straight to Broad Street, and everybody was going nuts over there, and it was just a memory that you'll never forget.